cue that up today and play General Flynn almost coming to tears talking about 1775, Lexington and Concord. This is it. America's been captured. We have to take it back. That's what's happened, folks. And the news won't carry Trump's speeches when he says Hillary Clinton is a Chinese agent. She is. This isn't rhetoric. So no wonder they call Trump a Russian agent. No wonder they call me a Russian agent and put our faces up there with Vladimir Putin on CNN and MSNBC and you name it. Because these are globalists. These are people that hijacked our country. They are the outsiders. And as I've said 1,000 times, once you identify that an outside global force has hijacked you with 21st century high-tech algorithms that have taken over the stock markets, the interest rates, the currency rates, the economy, that's all admitted. And you understand that there's 5 mega banks that control basically almost everything now, and they want to mop up what's left of wealth to control you. And you identify that the New World Order is a worldwide corporate tyranny, and the former head of the NSA, technical leader, the guy that actually ran the NSA, that was number 2 at the NSA, comes on, and I say, what is the master plan? He goes, a global corporate government. It is a technocracy, a total takeover. The NSA isn't joining with other countries for America. The NSA is forming a global grid. And this is the death of this country, people. You're watching it, okay? This is a admitted program. And they admit it, but they've done it to a great extent. And that's why the State Department's so arrogant. And that's why the Saudis are so arrogant. And that's why the Communist Chinese are so arrogant. Almost every movie I go see now that has to do with technology or science fiction or action adventure, the Communist Chinese are in it at the Politburo advising America with red flags flying with hammers and sickles and pictures of Mao. And then they tell NASA, they tell the Army, they tell the superheroes what to do. They tell the Avengers what to do. They tell, what type of booster to save Matt Damon when he's stuck on Mars. I mean, and again, when you go see almost every movie and it's Chinese communist propaganda, you're like, what in the world is going on? I mean, that alone, everybody should just go, whoa, and the hair on the back of their neck. The first few times I started seeing it, remember they didn't release Red Dawn for over a year because it had the Communist Chinese attacking, so they changed it to North Korea, and they had to reshoot and re-edit a bunch of the movie. That's how controlled we are. That's who's running our country. Do the Russians control what goes on in our movies? Do the British, for that matter? No, it's global government. Iceland has pulled out of it. The UK is trying to pull out. Russia is trying to pull out. We're trying to pull out. And a lot of people, like Dr. Paul Craig Roberts, who's a smart guy, but, he doesn't get one level of this three-dimensional chess game. And I say this because it's a fact. I've been proved right. The emails are all public. The data leaks. It's everything I said. World government. George Soros trying to cause race wars. He stabilized the country. And criminal elites here in the U.S. transferring power to the UN. Because Roberts goes, it's the United States of the neocons. It's not the UN. I know that. It's criminals here transferring the power into a diplomatically immune combine. The UN's only the head of it. The OECD, the IMF, the World Bank, the WTO, the TPP agreement, they're transferring it to this system above us. But he gets caught and goes, but it's America. Yes, it's criminals that used our energy, our weapons, our culture to empower the machine. But we're being melted down to form the new system. It's a fact. The UN with Justice Department power is coming in to run our police departments. It's a fact they're running a call for reparations for, quote, black people. It's a fact that they're suing Arpaio and getting ready to sue the Texas government for even having any border control. It's a fact they're running the refugees coming into Europe and coming into the United States. It's a fact they're running global carbon taxes. It's a fact. But people get lost in it because always it was supposed to be America running the UN, America running the global government. That was the whole plan. It's why after World War II, the United States funded the whole thing with the Rockefellers, and it was supposed to be America is going to project Americanism and free market into the world with this global corporate government by giving technology to third world countries to build them up. But it was all double-crossed. And by 49, the decision was made. It's in the Royal Commission. 1949. Look it up. Queen Elizabeth's father's name is on the letterhead. And they said, we're not going to industrialize the third world. We're going to exploit it, have reservations of high tech, give them nothing, let their populations explode, and then exploit them further, and then use them in reverse colonization within the next 60 years to overtake our Western competitors. It's cold-blooded, people. They got a plan, and they mean business. And you've got corrupt, strongman, gangster-style Russia stumbling around trying to get reorganized that barely pulled away from the robber barons. And the West is trying to destroy that while it's trying to destroy itself. And the Brits learn, hey, 90% of your laws or more are made by the European Union, and you never got to vote to enter it. So the Brits vote to go, yeah, we should be able to make our own laws. We want out of this. We don't want open borders. We don't want all these huge taxes. We don't want to be like France or Germany. And I told you before it happened, I said this mayor is going to ignore all this Muslim mayor, and it's going to say, I'm going to issue visas within the city I control. And, of course, he's now announced that. And how do I know he'd do that? Because it's a battle plan. Arnold, I'm going to skip this break. Schwarzenegger was hired 6 years ago when the Copenhagen Treaty fell through for carbon taxes globally because it raped the third world. It was sold as a way to empower the third world. Oh, liberal, loving, a liberal world order. It was a nightmare system of eugenics and control. Would kill 1 billion people over a decade, most experts agree. Horrible. How about turning the global economy off? This would do it. And then make who was surviving in third worlds flood even harder. Again, the big refugee crisis they've been planning. And Schwarzenegger was dispatched to organize programs to get mayors elected with UN and IMF and World Bank and Soros money in every major industrialized country to then create their own sanctuary cities and to, quote, work with the UN and become partners with it to circumvent national sovereignty. And Schwarzenegger gave press conferences and was in the news saying, we're going to circumvent Congress, we're going to circumvent this, and we're going to implement this because the earth needs to be safe. It's heating up. It is heating up. This is a pig with, admittedly, thousands of automatic weapons, 4 or 5 army tanks, helicopters with rocket launchers on them, because he's an elitist, he can have it. He wants to ban semi-auto. But it's okay because he's a Republican, and Republicans feel good because, oh, he's in our team or whatever. Pure bull. So I knew what Khan would do. I looked at who funded him. I knew. I know the exact battle plan. I know their playbook. And by the way, I'm not bragging. How stupid are our governors and others that think they know what's going on and are only partway fighting this when this is, it's like, I get called sometimes by former governors, current governors, are like, Alex, I don't want to come on the air, but I want you to know we listen all the time, but you're the tip of the spear, and thanks for making it safe for us to talk, but wow, you're being proven right. This is really happening. And I'm like, this is much worse than I'm even saying, okay? This is cut and dry. You must address it for how bad it is and how serious it is, because that's what it is. If an asteroid was coming, and it was 2 million miles out, and it was going to get here in a couple months, and it was the size of Rhode Island, and was going to kill all the life on Earth and create a new ice age, we need to get ships on the gantry, on the launch pad. We need to launch everything we've got with weapons and go out there and nuke the damn thing. Or die trying. Oh, that's fear-mongering. Say a giant asteroid's coming. Again, this is figurative for the New York Times and others. You'll still deceive your people and so MSNBC and cut me out saying a giant asteroid's coming. It's an analogy. It's an allegory. It's a parable. It's an example. It's a case point. You've got this 25-mile wide asteroid coming, okay? It's a couple million miles away. It's going to be here in a few months. We could mobilize and stop it, but you've got to admit the damn thing's coming. You've got to admit it's going to T-bone right in the middle of the Pacific Ocean with the computer models. They know when it's going to hit. They know the minute it's coming into the atmosphere. We got to stop it. We are faced with a technological takeover, stealing our ingenuity, stealing our ideas, sequestering it, building a breakaway civilization that's mopping up Africa, mopping up Latin America, mopping up Asia, mopping up Russia, mopping up the Middle East with destabilization, mopping up our families, mopping up our farms, mopping up the Amish, ending everything. And they write books and they brag and they say the future doesn't need you, it's going to be great, we're going to phase you out, it's going to be a utopia, you're done. And they just walk by like we don't even exist, and then they have these stay-behind networks, these rear-guard actions as they build their breakaway civilization over here on the launch pad right in front of us, 100 times the Manhattan Project in their own words. I'm here going, they're so arrogant they admit this, we're going to do something. And the average man is telling me about fantasy football, and the average woman, you know, is getting their eyelashes done. Fine, I mean, I get it, whatever. Just going on about your life. And I'm sitting here watching these idiots in mainstream media who are going along with the destruction of the planet and their own species, thinking they're on a winning team, reading off teleprompters. When their kids are eating GMO, they're breathing the poison air. Everywhere I turn, people are getting Parkinson's, young people, neurological disorders. We are being murdered. The globalists are on such a demonic power trip that they believe they're going to have this super technology soon with the singularities. They can just do whatever they want, clean up the earth in a flash, whatever, where they don't even care if reactors leak or melt down now. They admit they just have, you know, Mombiot and the Guardian going, I love radiation, it's good. Ooh. You know, it's like, let them eat cake, slit your wrist, dance around like a psychopath. The people that are running this are under a delusion. They think they know what's going on. They do not know what's going on. And I will assure them, you are not going to get this promised land you've been offered. See, Donald Trump just wants to continue with what we got. Helicopters, jets, hotels, golf courses, beautiful women, his kids, hamburgers. He wants to be dominant. He wants to, you know, but hey, that's not fair, China screwing us. I'll make a better deal, and I'll be a big hero, and oh, that's great. You know, they just know he's a throwback, just an old-fashioned guy that wants to have prosperity. You know, he's an authoritarian. He wants to crack heads of enemies and stuff. That's why they cannot stand him, because they've got something 100 times more twisted, more sophisticated. You know, they look at just strong men in Russia and strong men in America and just guys that want to have a big, prosperous country and the people love them and want to build something. And, you know, let me tell you what'll explain everything to you. My grandmother, who had, I think it was like a master's in English. I think she went and got her doctorate in it or something. But the point is that she would go from Teague, Texas, on a bullet train when my dad was like 5, 6 years old to I think it was Rice, down in Houston. And because there's photos of her, you know, young and beautiful, getting on the bullet train that looks like one of those trains from the old Superman movies, the old Superman TV shows, you know, faster than a speeding bullet or powerful than a locomotive. And, you know, those big, fast bullet trains, big black trains. And that thing would go 120, 130 miles an hour with 100 miles down to Houston. And she'd get down there in less than an hour and come right back. It was an express. And today, trains on that very line don't go above 40 miles an hour because the beds never got fixed, so it'll shake. So in 2016, the freight trains can't go more than 45 miles an hour. And that's why you see, you know, people fall asleep at the switches or things malfunctioning or trains flying off the rail beds because our infrastructure is falling apart, people. They have 300-mile-an-hour trains in Tokyo. They have 280-mile-an-hour trains in France. We have 45-mile-an-hour trains. You see, you know, in the early 1950s, that was the end of innovation, where they, you know, by 1900 had bullet trains going 100 miles an hour. They had trains going 160 miles an hour by the time the decision was made to scrap the railroads in the late 1950s. See, it wasn't about innovation anymore. It wasn't about building something for the people. It was about taking all your resources, hoarding it, so the elites can talk about Mars bases and all this other stuff, and then we get nothing down here. The allegory is Elysium. They're breaking away, not making this the golden fields, but creating their own golden fields, sucked off of us. The ultimate form of siege against the people. And then I've got a report coming up that Darren McBreen did about how they said there were no tax penalties in the bill and no penalties on Obamacare. And then now, of course, started 3 years ago, the first numbers came in, $1.8 billion in fines of millions of Americans. And the Washington Times says the media wrongly attacked Drudge. No, they didn't have hundreds of newspapers wrongly attack Drudge and InfoWars and others. They didn't wrongly. They knew it was in the bill. They just lied to people to go ahead and get the thing implemented to rape them. It's not like they're accidentally doing this. They want to flaunt the FBI director in front of you with Hillary above the law. They want to have on Charlie Rose at the State Department and on C-SPAN all these different government bureaucrats go, man, the public's dumb. We sure are screwing them. Ha, ha, ha. And just laughing. If I'm going to put a compilation, laughing. It's always the same demonic laugh of victory, of just, they are our slaves. They are under our servitude. We have won. And these people all look like demons when they're doing it. They all do this same. It's like fake. Like Hillary. And it's like, wow, man, these are bad people. They're not like us, okay? And that's what I'm getting at here. If I'm in a restaurant and I see a poor family with a kid who's paralyzed, and the child seems so loving and the parents are trying to feed it, and it's like 18 years old, this child, I sit there and I feel pain, and I want to help those people, and I feel empathy, and psychopaths would call me weak. But no, I'm not weak. I'm strong. That's why I feel all this. I open myself up to it. You people are the opposite. You decided to not care, so now you love it. You love the honeybees dying. You love it. You love it. You love it. You love the death of the earth. You celebrate. You love it. You want World War III. You love death. One of the biggest attacks we see out there from the corporate mouthpiece media is that I'm a fearmonger, that I'm trying to scare people. And I jump right into that briar patch and I say, absolutely, I'm trying to scare people. Because I'm not scared. Something happens as a male, as a man, if you are a man, and I'm not bragging, it's just, it clicks, is that when you know everybody's in danger, and you know you're right, and you've got children especially, something clicks and you don't have fear anymore. You have concern and a duty and a will to face it. And I'm telling you, most men never become men because they don't tap into that and that sense of purpose and that drive. And then all your instincts, your ancestors, God, your spirit, everything turns on. And I know why the average man who may have experienced this a few times doesn't want to experience it, because it's a lot to be a man. It's big. It's old. It's real. And anybody that's a man out there can look at what's going on and the Armageddon level scenarios that lay out before us, the minefield that we're walking through with our children and our culture and our women, is the most danger this species has ever been. All of my instincts, my spirit, my gut, every bit of it is on a knife's edge right now, crying out, people, wake up, repent, get on your knees, turn this around, don't go down this road, danger, 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 danger. The babies with 3 parents, the chimera mutant creatures, our government openly funding the most satanic, evil jihadis, Obama making jokes about it. Some people say I need to bring in, I can't really do a good Obama imitation like I can Bill Clinton. Here, I'll do Obama in the voice of Clinton. It's the same spirit. Some people think we got to just bring in Christians from Syria. We're not going to do that. That's not fair. We're going to bring everybody in. But what he didn't tell you, that he laughs a little chuckle, is they know full well they let 0.4% in when Syria's 20% Christian or was. I mean, they are not letting Christians out. And I got to sit there and watch him have a little enjoyment Only time I see Obama act like he has any real enjoyment is when Christians are getting killed. And I'm like, what is in that guy? What spirit? And if I've got one complaint, it's that I've got to look at Obama, I got to look at Michael Moore, I got to look at Hillary, I got to look at Michelle, who are all just crazed, power-hungry demons, just looking at everybody like they want to tear everybody apart. I mean, where is the discernment of people? When you look at Hillary, that is a visible demon. Probably the most evil-looking person I've ever seen in my life. I mean, that big joker face, that plastic face, I mean, and then what she does is the proof of it all. She'll walk around on stage for an hour with her mouth wide open like a anglerfish. Oh. Drunk on power, drunk on the blood of the innocents. God deliver us. Oh my God. I've got a bunch of clips here. I want to get to the State Department threatening Russia with Al-Qaeda forces. They say ISIS, but it's the same thing. And we've got Trump ahead in a bunch of polls. And we've got a lot of other important news here. We got the FBI openly admitting what came out in the news last week that, they were never going to prosecute anybody. And then, they attacked InfoWars, and they attacked Daily Caller, and they attacked Drudge and everybody else because we said, look at this document. The FBI admits they were never going to prosecute anybody. And, shut up, conspiracy theorist. And then it turns out it's all true. Well, it didn't turn out. It always was. We had the FBI document. It was admitted. It came out to Congress. By the way, you see this massive censorship of the media, of nationalists, of patriots, of people that just aren't in the cult of death. Those of us that don't want to blow the planet up. Those of us that don't get mad at our neighbor if they have a bigger swimming pool than us. Those of us that just like prosperity and never get tired of the simple things. Those of us that don't want to grab kids out of, backyards and torture them. People like us. We're not perfect. We just don't want to, murder Christians for no reason. We're just not out to screw everybody over. The bad guys. The Pope took over the Catholic Church. Say what you wanted about the Catholic Church before. It did a lot of good. And, in some of its activities. I just judge a tree by its fruits. And I'm not Catholic. I just study it. But then they come in with the left, through the seminaries, through the Jesuits, and infiltrate it with pedophile groups to then blackmail the church, trick the church into not kicking it out early in the 50s, take it over, and then officially they admit, have the Jesuits, supposed to be the guardians of the church, blackmail it, and put the black pope in power. That's what they call the head of the Jesuits, folks. For the news shows, he called him black in a derogatory term. Jones, blah, blah, blah. This is amazing. Savage censored as Pope calls journalists terrorists. He said, those that engage in conspiracy theories are, quote, deplorable. He's following the same script. Hell, the Jesuits probably wrote the script for Hillary. That's what a lot of folks, in fact, that's actually what Steve Pachenik, who's on tomorrow, was the former head of psychological warfare for the State Department. He's on today, and other agencies. He was on, 2 weeks ago, and he said, this looks like Jesuit propaganda coming out of Hillary. Because Tim Kaine's a Jesuit, and then now you see him with the exact same words. We're terrorists now. What did the UN say in the Washington Post yesterday in their human rights panel that came out that Saudi Arabia and Qatar had up? That's funny. It'd be like having Hitler oversee the Nuremberg trials. Or having a fox again oversee the hen house. They came out and they said, America engaged in terrorism against black people. And so America owes reparations. See, we're terrorists now. You're starting to see. You're Russian agents. You're terrorists. You're a journalist that points out Obamacare isn't free. You can't keep your doctor. It was written by foreign insurance companies to screw you. There are penalties of $5,000 a year, up to. How do you counter that? Well, you have the supposed religious leader of the biggest single religious sect in the world, Catholicism, come out and tell you that you are a deplorable terrorist, and I have been listed by name by Hillary Clinton as a dark heart, quite frankly, king of the deplorables. You know what I'm the king of? Seeing you. I see you, okay? And I'm going to tell you why. I'm a wicked person. I mean, my good overbalances. I love God. I go with God. But I've always been able to just read the wicked's handwriting better than they can read it. And now there's no need to even be able to read their handwriting. It's running the world. I mean, this is a nice taste of a devil-run planet right here, baby. And I know the energies these people have given into. And I know where they take you. I haven't gone too far down the rabbit hole, but I've gone further than most that didn't succumb to it. Let me tell you. I know what goes on inside their heads. It's a roar like 1,000 jet engines. And it wants to kill this planet. They're higher than a kite, folks, on pit of hell, satanic rage. And they want to kill you and your family. And they want to first mutate every plant, every animal, and have disease and pain and suffering and keep you alive through excruciating pain to milk it and imprison as many people as they can and just absolutely mutilate and vandalize God's creation. In the words of the cartoon version of Age Skrillex, I want to you-know-what all over the Western world. And in the empty, soulless mind of Carl the Cuck, oh yeah, that'd be great. Because they're big game hunters, folks. And they can mount America's head on the wall and teach us to be the engine of evil. It was Bismarck said. Bismarck said, God loves and gives providence to children, drunks, and the United States of America. Check me on that. I think that's Bismarck. Is providence the quote, God loves children, drunks, the United States of America? It's Bismarck. Pull it up for me, please. The unified Germany. God did love the United States of America because of the providence, because of the reason it was founded. And look how great it's been. Look how special it's been. And now we've been captured and used to build this satanic kingdom. And now it intends to rise above the nation states and lay all the other nation states down low below it. Tear everything apart and reconstruct the rubble in a new planet. That's what the high-level initiates believe they're going to get. But if they took one look into the energy force that's behind them, they would know this isn't creative destruction. Because the devil is never a maker. The devil is a betrayer and a taker. I want to go to break. Speaking of the devil being a taker and a betrayer, Obama looking for that poor black woman in Florida